Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I hope you guys, as always, had an amazing weekend, and I hope the start of a new week is off to an amazing beginning for you. You know what time it is. It's the beginning of the week. You know why I'm here. Word to Marshawn Lynch. It's time for another episode of Monday Evening Quarterback. My name is Christian Simpson, and I am the creator. I am the founder. I'm the NFL and college football analyst of a brand that I launched in 2010 called The Daily Blitz, where we specialize in all things football 24/7, 365 from the NFL to college football, game previews during the regular season in the league and college football, just news on particular teams, my thoughts on players getting injured, guys retiring, guys signing contract extensions, you name it. We'll do our best to cover it. If you've been following along with the company in Monday Evening Quarterback from the beginning, thank you as always, and I hope you're doing well. And if this is your first time tuning in to Monday Evening Quarterback and you were referred to me, one, thank you to the person who refers you to me. Two, thank you for taking the referral. Three, I hope you are doing well. And four, I hope you enjoy the show. And if you're liking what you were hearing, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. We are on YouTube, Twitch, the Nerdport Network, and Spotify. And potentially another place coming very soon. I'll get into that maybe on my social media. So I need y'all to be on the lookout. But it's going to be another jam packed show. Another entertaining week of college football in week four. A certain team who I wrote about on the site just may be finito at this point, or should I say tamed. I think a lot of you know who I'm talking about, the Clemson Tigers, but we'll get into that. Pretty solid game in Norman, Oklahoma, between Auburn and the Oklahoma Sooners. Does Notre Dame get their first win? Just a lot. So we're going to talk about everything that caught my eye in college football. We're going to talk about what caught my eye in the NFL. We're going to go to the phone lines. I'm going to answer some questions. And then I'm going to be on the prime for a little bit because I have to work a little later tonight. I'll be covering and breaking down the Lions and Ravens on Twitter. If you are liking what you're hearing so far and you want to find out more about what it is we do, log on to the site, which is thedailyblitz.blog. Enter your email address, and anything that gets posted to the site will be sent to your email address so you can keep up with us 24/7, 365, and I'll promote everything on social media after this. But let's dive right in. Week four, I can't believe it. It just seems like yesterday I was gearing up for the first regular season episode of College Football Showdown with my main man, Israel Rivera and Matt James. Shout out those two, Prime Sports World. I had just released my first preview of the season, which was LSU and Clemson. It was Lee Corso's final episode of College Game Day, and yeah, it really does go by fast. That's the funny thing. We wait for it and we wait for it and we wait months and months, and then when it finally gets here, it goes by so quickly. And with that being said, that's perfect segue. Let's talk about those Clemson Tigers. You know, I wasn't sold on them after their loss to LSU. And heading into that game, they were the fourth ranked team in the country. I just had a feeling LSU would beat them because I just thought they were the better team. I trusted them a little more, and I just didn't know if Clemson's offense would be able to move the ball on this stingy LSU defense. I'm talking Braden Swinson and Whit Weeks and Harold Perkins and the other Weeks brothers. So just looking at Clemson now, they're 1-3. It's the worst start in quite some time. I want to say since 2014. Didn't look good against Troy in week 2, and that was a game they should have blown them out in. They were down 16, and yeah, they did win that game by 11, but it wasn't a convincing double-digit victory. Like, to me, a whooping is 15 points and up. Just put it to you that way. Um, I knew they were absolutely cooked against Georgia Tech last weekend. Haynes King just put so much pressure on this Clemson defense, and I'm just gonna come right out and say it. I just don't think Clemson scares me anymore. Plain and simple. I don't get that intimidation factor with them like I used to. I remember when Alabama was still on their run and they were considered one of the, if not the best team in the country. A lot of people said Clemson was that number 2 team behind Alabama. I mean, they did meet in quite a few national championships. I think it was 3, if I'm not mistaken. I just don't sense the urgency from the Clemson Tigers. They just seems like they don't want to play for the coach. And you guys have heard me mention that countless times after countless times after countless times. On the site, on any show I contribute for, whether I'm talking about the league or college football. And it's funny because on Saturday during college game day, Nick Saban had a word of advice for Dabo Swinney. And Nick pretty much said, get with the times, meaning take full advantage of the transfer portal. And he's absolutely correct. That's what it's for. This is the equivalent of free agency for the college athlete. And I think this is really good for the game of college football. But Saturday, Clemson, they were back home against the Syracuse Orange, a team that always gives Clemson problems. I don't know why and I don't know how. I don't know if it's a schematic thing, but they always just find a way to just give Clemson such a hard time. So I'm looking at the numbers right here. Steve Angeli, yes, the former Notre Dame quarterback, he went 18-32, 244 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And Clemson pretty much, I just sense a team that's given up. I really do. Yassine Willis was the leading rusher for Syracuse, 18 carries, 94 yards. When have you ever heard of a Clemson defense giving up over 5 yards per carry? Because that's what Willis had, 5.2 yards per carry to be exact. And Jonte Cook the second, pun intended, he cooked this Clemson secondary. 6 receptions, 113 yards receiving, average 18 yards per catch, no touchdowns. And on the Clemson side, Cade Klubnik threw the ball 60 times. You know what I'm going to say about that. You can't do that. 363 yards, 37 completions, 3 touchdowns and 1 interception. Adam Randall, running back, former wide receiver, converted into a running back. 16 carries, 130 yards, no touchdowns, and TJ Moore was the leading receiver. Yeah, I don't know what to say anymore. Like, Clemson, the effort just wasn't there. I mean, they there's no energy, like I mentioned. And this was a team that was projected to go a few places, potentially even a national championship. But they're 1-3. This is the worst I've seen them look in quite some time. And how do they bounce back? I did give my thoughts on them on the site, so make sure you check that out, which is the Daily Blitz blog. Of course, I'm doing all the promoting and the shameless plugs. Word to David on point at Prime Sports World. If you listen to the Prime, there are certain games that I won't give predictions for, which quite a few have a problem with, but I really don't care. Um, and the reason why I do that is because it's a business tactic. I'm trying to get clicks for the site. So if I tell you who I have winning, you'll know you know what to expect on the site and on the Prime and College Football Showdown. Anytime that particular game comes up that I know I'm previewing and I'm writing about on the site, we just yell out shameless plug number one, a shameless plug number two, things of that nature. Um, So yeah, Clemson's cooked. There's no way they're making the playoffs. You need two losses now at the most, especially with it being a a 12 team college football playoff bracket. Yeah, they're completely eliminated. Now, the big question is, do you fire Dabo? I don't know about all that. Just have to tighten some things up. Take advantage of the transfer portal because a lot of teams have, especially the next team who I'm about to talk about. Um, But yeah, that's what it's there for. Utilize it. Um, One of the games I previewed on the site this week was the Auburn Tigers and the Oklahoma Sooners. Now, let me tell you, I've been impressed with Oklahoma. This is the best I've seen them look in quite some time. John Mateer gives them the explosive offense that we saw all those years ago with Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, even Jalen Hurts kept them together. Now all three of those guys are in the league. Um, this was a lot more low scoring than what I thought it was gonna be. Oklahoma, I thought they would have put up at least 30, but that's kudos to Auburn's defense. Oklahoma did win this game 24-17. John Mateer, leading passer throughout the game, 24-36, 271 yards, one touchdown. And I think he's been the most impactful transfer quarterback. He just fits um what this team's been looking for. Brent Venables went into his bag, decided to hire Ben Arbuckle, and then Ben ended up bringing in John Mateer, who was his quarterback. I always say football is a systematic thing. Jackson Arnold, he once played for Oklahoma, which was last season. He went 21-32, 220 yards passing, one touchdown. Um, Jeremiah Cobb was your leading rusher with 61 yards for Auburn, and this is my first time getting the chance to watch Eric Singleton Jr. from Georgia Tech. An explosive receiver, plays a lot bigger than what he appears in stature, can go up for the ball, and they bought him here because of his ability to create in the red zone. But give this Oklahoma defense a lot of credit. They have really been handling their business. I'll give them that. They're 4-0. They're a lot more competitive in the SEC than I think a lot of people expected of them. And I was talking to one of my friends, and he mentioned, Josh mentioned Oklahoma has one more easy game after the bye. There's no such thing as an easy game of football because you just never know what you're going to bring. I can't stress that enough. But, they do have that bye in between, and I was looking at their schedule, and They have Red River, one that I think they could win. Excuse me. Ole Miss, which could be tough because Ole Miss is a good team. You just don't hear about them a lot. They're very well coached under Lane Kiffin. Tennessee, and I really like the makeup of this Tennessee Volunteers team, especially after watching what they did last week. They really did hang with Georgia, but they just couldn't close the door. Alabama, I think they could beat Alabama because John Matei is a mobile quarterback, and Alabama's weakness as a defense has always been limiting the mobile quarterbacks. This even goes back to the Saban days. Missouri, which could be a trap game, and then LSU. I think LSU is one of the 3 or 4 best teams in the country right now. Been very high on this group this year, but now we're about to see what Oklahoma's made of come conference play. Well, furthermore into conference play because Saturday was their SEC opener. Yeah, another game that I previewed was Texas Tech and in Utah. This Texas Tech offense has been putting up video game S numbers. I'm talking they put up 67 against. They put up 67 in their first game. They put up 62 in their second game, and then 45 last week. So they put up 67 against Arkansas Pine Bluff, 62 against Kent State, and then 45 against the Oregon State Beavers. And those 3 opponents aren't necessarily eye-popping, but again, you play who you play and you beat who you beat. It's not their fault they won the schedule. They just handle business is the way I look at it. It was the Big 12 opener for both these teams, for Texas Tech and Utah. Contrasting styles of football. Texas Tech, they want to stretch the field. They want to go over the top. They want to play vertically, get the ball in space, and then operate that way. And Utah, now they've been running the ball a lot more consistently. I'm talking they were averaging about 290 yards per game coming into this contest on Saturday on the ground. Both teams had new quarterbacks. Texas Tech, Baron Morton was my first time getting the chance to watch him, and this kid can fling it. This kid kind of has a little bit of a gunslinger mentality. And then Utah, Devin Dampier, a dual threat quarterback, but can throw the ball from the pocket. I left watching this game so impressed by Texas Tech because Utah, that's such a tough place to go and play. First drive for Texas Tech, they just marched down the field, and whenever you see a team start off a game that quickly, that's them telling you what type of game it's going to be. Plain and simple. Looking at this, wanted to see if Utah, which has a really good defensive front, could they put any type of pressure on Morton? And they did get after him. They did put him under duress. It made him think twice. But the most impressive thing was this Texas Tech defense. Just as a unit, swarming to the ball. My player to watch in this game was David Bailey. He's a transfer from Stanford, and he and Romello Height have been one of the better tandems in all of college football. And yeah, it just seemed like anything Utah wanted to do, they couldn't. Because the key for Texas Tech, one of the major keys that I wrote in my preview, was they need to set the edge and bottle up this running game and dare Devin to throw the football from the pocket. They made him do that. Devin Dampier did not have a good game. 25 or 38. 162 yards. Excuse me, 162 yards passing and two interceptions, and one of those interceptions was absolutely horrible. Texas Tech pushed him to the left side of the pocket, and he just heaved the ball up. He didn't see Bryce Pollock intercepting, roaming around, and he ended up getting intercepted. Texas Tech went into Utah and won this game by 24 points. They outscored Utah 24-7 in the fourth quarter alone. 34-10, and another bit of news. Baron Morton did get hurt in this game. I could tell something was up with him because he didn't look right after sustaining that hit. But Will Hammond, he came in and just gave this entire team a spark. 13 of 16, 169 yards passing and two touchdown passes. And this kid can fling it. So if Barron does have to miss time, I don't think Texas Tech is going to really miss much of anything. But yeah, what a performance on the road to get a big win. And, I think Texas Tech and Iowa State may be the two best teams in the Big 12. Because it seems like Arizona State's kind of taking a little bit of a step back. The Miami Hurricanes continue to show why I think they're the best team in the ACC, and they have an absolutely humongous game a couple of weeks from now, one that I know for a fact I'll be previewing against Florida State. That's going to be a fun one. Have a feeling game day is probably going to be there and all that. They handled their business against the Florida Gators, another in-state battle. Carson Beck didn't look the greatest. 17-30, 160 yards, and threw an interception, but the running game was there to pick him up. Mark Fletcher Jr., I can't say enough about this kid. 24 carries, 116 yards, and one touchdown. And the wheels on the other side are just starting to fall off for the Florida Gators. DJ Lagway, 12 of 23, only 61 yards passing. And Jaden Barr, 12 carries on 46 yards rushing and one touchdown. Miami's 4-0. They're playing with a lot of confidence on both sides of the ball. And, I know it may be early, but Mario Cristobal would be my pick right now for Coach of the Year. Some other games. Oregon handled their business against Oregon State, and they have a huge game next week against the Penn State Nittany Lions, one that I will be previewing. Game day is going to be there in Happy Valley. It's actually a really nice slate of college football next week. Only thing that I don't like is that the two marquee games on the schedule are being played at the same time. I'm talking Alabama, Georgia, another one I will be previewing, and Oregon, Penn State. They both come on at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. But we're still going to preview it. Still going to give thoughts and, go back and forth between the games. Really excited for next Saturday. This is what makes this job and this career so much fun. Some other games, Illinois got it handed to them at the hands of the Indiana Hoosiers, 63-10. They took control of that game. Fernando Mendoza, 21-23, 267 yards passing, and 5 touchdowns on the day. On the night. Yeah, Illinois just couldn't get it going. Ole Miss handling their business against Tulane. Tennessee bounces back, 54-26. Michigan escapes. I had Nebraska, and so did Izzy on College Football Showdown, upsetting Nebraska. Nebraska upsetting Michigan, but it was just a little too much Justice Haynes. I think that did them in, and Michigan won both games without Sharon Moore, and now he gets to come back. He's been suspended for the last 2 games due to the sign stealing incident. Missouri handled their business against South Carolina. South Carolina's lost their last 2. Now they really got to run the tables. And Notre Dame finally got their first win of the season, 56-30. Jadarian Price accounted for 4 touchdowns. And Kirk Herbstreit said he thinks Notre Dame's gonna run the table. I could see it, but one game at a time. They got one, and let's see what they do next. Um, that's pretty much everything I have for college football. Week 5, can't believe it. It's gonna be fun. Like I just mentioned, Oregon, Penn State rematch of the Big Ten title game from last season in December. Penn State did win that game, and Alabama, Georgia. Can't wait to see what happens next in this rivalry. With that being said, the first portion of Monday Evening Quarterback is done. We're going to go to the phone lines. You're going to hear some music. And when I get back, we're going to talk a little National Football League here on MEQ. This is Monday Evening Quarterback on YouTube, Spotify, the Blog Talk Network. No, I'm sorry. Here, we're going to try that again. This is Monday Evening Quarterback on Twitch, the Nerdport Network, YouTube, Spotify, and I might as well just say it now, coming very soon, Apple Podcast. Did I just say that? I'll be right back after this. Enjoy the conversations and enjoy the music.